We pass by them every day, barely noticing. Tiny specks on the ground, so small you could blow them away with a single sweep of your hand. And yet, it is these silent, organized creatures that form one of the greatest powers on our planet. Ants. If you were to gather all the ants in the world and place them on one side of a scale, with all humans on the other, the balance would tip in favor of these microscopic beings. Their biomass outweighs that of all humanity. They are like a pulsating, living network enveloping the Earth, present almost everywhere, capable of surviving conditions that would be fatal to humans. But numbers are just the beginning. Ants wage wars with a brutality and strategy that would make any general proud. When two colonies meet, the battlefield transforms into a cosmic war machine chaos. Arranged in such perfect order, it seems like programmed intelligence. Some species kidnap enemy larvae, others deploy poisons, while still others send soldiers the size of grains of sand to die in kamikaze-like attacks. And that is still not all. Ants build what biologists call a superorganism, a structure in which individual ants act like cells in a single, massive body. We look at them as insects. But they are closer to cities, armies, and civilizations than one might think. They farm, they herd, they enslave, they employ tactics and strategy. And above all, they possess what is most terrifying: the ability to operate as a single entity, which we humans cannot fully understand or stop. Ants belong to the vast family of hymenopterans, the same group that gave rise to bees and wasps. That is why their bodies are so familiar. 3 segments, a narrow waist, slender legs, agile antennae, all arranged according to a design tested by nature over millions of years. But what we now call an ant was not always an ant. Their ancestors were solitary little social predators, operating alone. Over time, evolution transformed these solitary creatures into cooperative beings. At first clumsy, then increasingly effective, they eventually created structures so complex that they began to resemble organisms far larger than any single insect could ever be. Today, around 14,000 species of ants are known. Though scientists are certain this is not a complete list. Most live in the tropics, in the Amazon, Asia, Africa, where biodiversity explodes in every square meter. In a single patch of land, more ant species can exist than in the entire continent of Europe. Most impressively, ants have colonized nearly every corner of the world. They live in treetops and beneath roots, in deserts, tundras, foothills, cities, and human homes. They are in jungles, parks, kitchen counters, and asphalt cracks. The only places they consistently avoid are frozen regions, though even there, some species can withstand temperatures lower than most insects. Yet the most fascinating thing is that a single ant up close is nothing remarkable. Its behavior is simple, its abilities limited, almost devoid of personal free will. One ant cannot build a nest. It cannot defend territory. It cannot find food far from the colony. It is neither strong, fast, nor exceptionally clever. It is like a cell in a body, important, but only meaningful as part of the whole. The power of ants begins where individuality ends. When hundreds, thousands, or even millions of these tiny creatures synchronize their actions, something emerges that is hard to compare to anything known. An ant colony is not a mere gathering of insects. It is a system that behaves like a single organism. The nest becomes its body, workers its hands and feet, the queen its reproductive organs, pheromones its nervous system. When food is found, the information spreads like an electrical impulse. When attacked, defense reacts instantly, like a reflex. When eggs, larvae, or entire tunnels need relocating, the entire colony works as though guided by a shared plan. Even though no single ant knows the plan, this is the superorganism, a phenomenon that has amazed biologists since the first studies of ants. On the surface, it appears to be a collection of tiny creatures, but in practice, it behaves like a single, immense, distributed mind. Each ant performs its task, but the importance of that task only becomes clear when viewed as part of the whole. It is like observing a single neuron and trying to guess the thoughts of the entire brain. Impossible. Only billions of connections create consciousness. The same is true of ants. One means nothing. A million reshape landscapes, build structures, wage wars, colonize new territories. farm fungi, herd other insects, and sometimes even literally alter rivers and clear forests. All because they act together, and that is why ants have become one of the most dominant animal groups on Earth, not because they are strong, not because they are fast, but because they and nature itself understood that true power does not lie in the individual, but in a perfectly synchronized community. The world of ants is not ours. They do not see it as we do, hear it as we do, or orient themselves by colors, sounds, and images. Instead, they navigate using a completely different alphabet of reality. Their bodies, small, seemingly primitive, are in fact tools of extraordinary precision, tuned for life in crowds, underground, in darkness, in scent, and in touch. That is why the most vital part of an ant's world is its antennae, two delicate, constantly moving rods, which an ant sweeps through every moment of life as if reading an invisible map etched into the air. Antennae are not an accessory or minor feature. They are the ant's eyes, ears, nose, and hands all at once. They identify sisters, detect threats, trace pheromone trails, sense temperature, humidity, vibrations, and surface textures. A single touch with an antenna can transmit more information than a human could gather with a full set of senses. An ant can assess the condition of another worker, whether it is returning from a mission, carrying food, stressed, or marked by the scent of a foreign colony. This is thanks to specialized chemical receptors, densely packed so the antennae function like satellite dishes, capturing the tiniest signals. And though to the human eye an ant seems to see very little in the literal sense, this limited vision does not constrain it. Its compound eyes, made up of many tiny lenses, act like pixels on a primitive screen, providing an outline of shape, mass, light, and motion, without fine detail. An ant can detect movement, contrast, shadow, and direction, but it cannot distinguish your face from the edge of a stone. And it does not need to, because in the ant world, information matters more than the image itself. Some species, especially those living in deserts, have more developed eyes. They can navigate by the position of the sun, follow straight lines, and find their way back to the nest after long journeys, as if they carry an internal compass in their tiny heads. These ants see the world more clearly and sharply, but even so, they still perceive it more through their antennae than their eyes. Ants explore the world through touch, smell, and taste. Every pebble, every leaf, every step is an ongoing conversation with their environment. That's why antenna contact is so important and frequent. Workers passing each other in tunnels touch like humans shaking hands. But in that brief second, they exchange vital information about food, direction, or the colony's condition. If we could communicate through touch the way ants do, life would feel a lot simpler. Then there are the mandibles, the tool that makes an ant what it is. To the eye, they might seem like tiny hard jaws that click when opened. In reality, they are multifunctional weapons, work instruments, heavy lifting mechanisms, and sometimes even surgical tools. Ants use them to bite, cut, dig, build, and fight. Some species have mandibles like scissors, sharp, quick, perfect for slicing leaves. Others have them like hammers, broad and powerful, crushing the armor of enemies. Some species even wield mandibles like spring-loaded traps. They open wide and snap shut with astonishing speed, striking an opponent or catapulting the ant several centimeters away. Mandibles are more than tools, they are survival. An ant has no teeth, no claws, no muscular strength. Yet it can cut through the exoskeleton of another insect, carry a seed, drag a twig, dig a tunnel, and defend the nest, all with two knives that work tirelessly its entire life. Even within a single colony, ants' bodies can look as if they come from different worlds. If magnified to human scale, the differences among castes would be as stark as those between an athlete, a surgeon, and a queen in full ceremonial regalia. This diversity is one of the greatest secrets of ants. The queen's form is the most striking. Her body is larger, her proportions fuller. Her abdomen, a massive, life-filled balloon, dominates her shape. This is no accident. Inside are structures that workers don't have at that scale, capable of growing to monstrous proportions, giving the queen a silhouette utterly unlike the rest of the colony. Her thorax is broader and stronger because, for a time before founding the nest, she carries wings. The scars from these wings, small, hard marks, remain for life, reminders of her one flight. Her head, modest at first glance, is usually rounded with gentler mandibles than those of soldier ants. Her body is designed for one thing: longevity. Workers, by contrast, are a completely different body type, smaller, lighter, more flexible. They are like miniature machines built for motion. Their thoraxes are proportionally smaller than the queen's, their abdomens light and compact. Their bodies are optimized for mobility, no excess structures, pure functional minimalism. Their legs are long for their size, allowing them to maneuver and balance precisely on narrow surfaces. Workers' heads are proportionally larger than the queen's, and their mandibles stronger. Sculpted by nature for constant contact with the material world, some species also have another form: huge, powerfully built individuals far larger than ordinary workers. Their heads are distinctly helmet-shaped, their mandibles massive chitin tools. Their thoraxes and legs are thicker, more compressed, with pronounced muscle attachments. Their bodies follow a different geometry, dominated by head structure, with proportions heavily shifted towards strength over mobility. Here, evolution has pushed a single segment to its extreme. Anatomical differences extend to the microscale: antenna length, number of chemical receptors, size of compound eyes. In many species, workers have smaller eyes. Light and images are not their primary tools. The queen, during her mating flight, has larger eyes temporarily when vision is needed. The most specialized soldier ants may have almost vestigial eyes, as if nature decided vision isn't worth investing in where muscle mass is the priority. Even the thoracic muscle structure, invisible to the naked eye, varies dramatically between castes. Queens, for part of their winged life, have dense, elaborate flight muscles. After the mating flight, some of these muscles gradually atrophy, but remnants remain for life. Workers, which never fly, have thoraxes completely redesigned: slim, light, yet strong where needed in legs and mandibles. Large soldier ants have head muscles so powerful that they reshape the entire skull, expanding it like hydraulic presses. The queen in the colony carries no crown. Though we call her a queen, there's no monarchy here. No commands, no thrones, no power in the human sense. She doesn't stroll through tunnels, doesn't direct workers, doesn't issue attack or evacuation orders. Her rule is different, quieter, more biological than political. The queen is, above all, a source of life, literally. She founds the colony, and from her begins the entire superorganism. During the first weeks of solitude after her mating flight, she does something she will never do again. She raises the first workers entirely on her own. After that, her role gradually narrows, eventually focusing on one colossal task: laying eggs. This is not a job comparable to anything a single animal performs. It is more like the rhythm of a factory running non-stop for years. The most fascinating part is what the queen doesn't do. She does not control the colony. She does not make decisions. She does not choose which workers forage, feed larvae, or patrol the territory. The nest operates on its own like a self-regulating organism. The queen is its biological center, but not its brain. Her real rule is through pheromones, a subtle chemical signal that tells workers, "I am here. I live. The colony may continue." This scent is like a pulse flowing through the tunnels. It does not control specific actions but maintains stability. If the queen disappears, her pheromones cease. The workers descend into chaos, searching for a new queen or attempting to raise a replacement from a larva, though it is not always possible. The queen never leaves the nest. She does not join migrations or wars. She sees the outside world only once in her life, the mating flight that determines her future. After the flight, she sheds her wings like traces of a previous life and becomes the grounded source of the entire colony. She may live 10 years, 20, or in some species even longer. Her lifespan is so extraordinary that workers seem to exist only for a blink in comparison. Despite the title, she has no privileges. She doesn't get the best chamber or luxurious corridors. She is more like a server hidden deep in an underground data center essential. Protected beyond measure, invisible to the world, maintained by the entire structure. The most fascinating thing about the queen is that her presence unites the colony not through power, but through mere existence. She does not govern, she enables. She does not command, she sustains continuity. While the queen lives, the colony has a future. Should she suddenly vanish, the nest may die slowly, like an organism that has stopped regenerating its cells. The queen is thus a paradox, the most important and yet most passive element of ant society. The heart that decides nothing, yet allows everything to flow in perfect rhythm. If the queen is the heart of the nest, the workers are its hands, feet, and brain all at once. Each fulfills dozens of roles, unaware that they are part of a complex machine no human could comprehend. From the first day of life, a worker enters a system larger than herself, where every move carries significance. Workers gather food, not just running after a leaf or insect. It's complex logistics. Some patrol the area, searching for small food sources. Others follow pheromone trails pointing to the largest stores. Once found, food is divided, broken down, and transported. Workers can drag loads many times their size, travel hundreds of meters, balancing on leaf veins, tunnels, and roots, delivering each crumb to the nest. Every expedition is a precise operation. Every step part of the greater strategy of the superorganism. Caring for eggs and larvae is another daily responsibility. Workers clean, turn, and transport them to warmer or cooler parts of the nest as needed. It's as if they nurture the tiniest, most delicate elements of their world life in its earliest form. There's no room for mistakes. A neglected larva or unattended egg can mean a loss for the entire colony. Workers understand the weight of their labor and perform it with surgical precision. Workers build and repair the nest, one of nature's most intricate architectural achievements. Tunnel by tunnel, chamber by chamber, with ventilation adjusted for temperature and humidity, food storage, and nurseries, every part of the colony emerges through their work. They are architects, engineers, and laborers in one body. Their movements are synchronized, yet each acts individually, as if an invisible hand coordinates their efforts. Thanks to the workers, the nest can grow, reshape, and adapt to external conditions. And though the name worker might suggest monotony, they also defend the colony. When danger arises at the entrance, workers stand guard, often on the front lines. They use mandibles, alarm pheromones, and sometimes even their bodies as shields. In battle, there is no heroism in the human sense, only instinct, precision, and devotion to the system. Every strike, every attack is part of a defensive plan they are never explicitly taught. In their world, there is no individual hero. There is only the collective. Workers live so the colony can survive. Their lifespan is shorter than the queen's, yet every moment is filled with action for the superorganism. Every drop of nectar collected, every tunnel wall repaired, every larva turned is proof that life in an ant nest is a network of connections, where every move matters and every gesture carries meaning. Ant soldiers are not ordinary workers. Their bodies, their jaws, their size, all of it says, "I am a creature built to defend." Each of these ants is a living bastion, standing guard over the colony. Though they possess no kingdom or authority in the human sense, their presence determines the safety of thousands of creatures around them. They are silent, flawless units of an army whose single mission is to protect the lives of everyone else. These are not multitaskers. They don't raise larvae, carry food, or build tunnels. Everything else belongs to the world of the workers. They have one purpose, and in that, they achieve perfection. Soldiers guard the nest entrances, patrol its borders, and take part in wartime expeditions. Every movement is precise, honed by instinct and the colony's collective experience. In moments of danger, they can block a tunnel with their bodies, forming a living gate that cannot be breached. In some species, soldiers can open their jaws so wide that they are used not only for attack but also to support the structure of the tunnel itself. Like living architectural beams, their intelligence operates on a collective level. A single soldier may not understand strategy, but as a group, they form a mechanism that reacts to threats faster than any observer could process the situation. Chemical signals, alarm pheromones, spread through the nest instantly. When danger is sensed, the front line alerts the next wave, which takes up positions forming a living shield. Some species employ tactics that resemble human armies. Scouts explore the area, assess the terrain, and signal central forces. The front line deploys according to size and strength. Smaller soldiers cover side entrances, larger ones focus on the main threat. All this happens without a commander, without a strategist, perfectly synchronized by nature itself. Though a soldier's life is brutal and short compared to that of a worker or queen, their presence is indispensable. Each day they confront intruders, parasites, rival colonies, predatory insects, and sometimes even larger animals that stray into their territory. Their strength is not just physical, it is also mental in the sense that instinctively they know when to risk their lives and when to retreat to protect the greater whole. Soldiers demonstrate that in superorganisms, individual success or glory is irrelevant. Their power and value are measured by how effectively they protect the network of life within the colony. They are invisible arms, capable of blocking, pressing, and acting, thinking not of themselves, but of the system they serve. And this is the true fascination. An ant soldier is not a hero in the human sense, seeking fame or reward. It is an element that ensures the whole functions. A single soldier ant alone would matter little, but 1,000 can defend thousands more, securing the survival of the colony and the future of generations yet to come. Male ants live in the shadow of workers and the queen. Their bodies are slender, their wings strong, and their lives short, intense, and singular. In ant society, they perform no daily tasks. They do not gather food, tend larvae, build tunnels, or defend the colony. Their existence focuses on one crucial objective: reproduction. Males are born in the right season and wait for the moment when the colony releases them under the right conditions. This is the nuptial flight, an extraordinary natural spectacle, where thousands of males and queens lift into the air in synchronization, guided by instinct and pheromones. For a brief moment, the air is filled with life, each male part of a massive, sensual orchestra of nature. Their goal is singular: reach the queen, inseminate her, and end their life. Unlike the queen, who may live many years, males have no future in the colony. Their existence is short but critical. They allow the colony to expand its genetic line, introduce new variations into the population, and sustain the superorganism. The nuptial flight is fraught with danger. Birds, predators, even weather can end the lives of countless males in an instant. Their wings, though strong, cannot shield them from nature's forces. It is a brutal confrontation, but each male knows his role only has meaning in this single moment. When his genetic material reaches the queen, after successful insemination, the male typically dies almost immediately. His body remains behind, life ending not dramatically, but naturally in the rhythm of biology. Yet in this death lies immense power. Males are fleeting heroes, enabling the queen to establish a new colony and continue the work of the superorganism. Male ants show that in the ant world, every role, even the briefest and most singular, is essential. Their lives are highly specialized, focused on one goal that gives meaning to the entire organism. They do not work, they do not defend, they do not raise young, but their existence determines the future of millions of other ants. It is a paradox, a short life with profound impact. In this sense, the male ant is a symbol of nature, where every element, no matter how fleeting or unnoticed, matters to the whole. Without them, the superorganism could not thrive, and the entire colony, regardless of its size and complexity, would lose the ability to perpetuate itself. An ant colony is more than a collection of bodies. It is a living organism that thinks, plans, and acts in perfect synchronization. And though no ant possesses a map, compass, or phone, every part of this intricate machine communicates. Their language is neither verbal nor visual, it is chemistry, written in pheromones. Invisible to the human eye, but perfectly readable to the colony's inhabitants. Each ant carries its own set of pheromones, released depending on the situation. A worker finding food leaves a chemical trail, a fine line that guides others to the source. This is not random. It is precise navigation. Other workers follow the trail, reinforcing it if the path is clear or ignoring it if obstacles block the way. In hours, sometimes minutes, a living highway to the food emerges. As if the earth itself knows the destination, pheromones also function as alarms. When an intruder crosses the boundary, soldiers release a chemical warning signal. It spreads instantly throughout the nest. Every ant knows to shift priorities. Some rush to defend, some protect the young, some guard entrances. The colony responds as a single organism, though each ant acts individually, guided by its chemical sensors. Some pheromones serve social purposes. They allow ants to recognize colony members and distinguish intruders. The queen leaves her own trace, signaling to workers that the leader is present. Everything is in order and the system functions correctly. Without these cues, chaos could quickly engulf the colony. Paths to food, alarms, identity recognition all operate through pheromones. It is a language impossible to learn unless you are an ant, yet every colony member understands it. From a single ant, we see a tiny creature. But when we view the colony as a whole, we see a vast, pulsating network of chemical communication, millions of messages sent and received simultaneously. In real time, without words, eyes, or hands. Some species take it even further. Pheromone trails can be modified in real time. If a food source dries up or is destroyed, the trail vanishes and ants stop following it automatically. The same happens with alarm pheromones. When a threat is resolved, they dissipate, and colony life returns to its normal rhythm. When we observe an ant, we see a tiny creature moving across the ground, searching for food, defending the colony. But beneath those few centimeters lies the genius of their existence. Entire cities, tunnels, and chambers operating as a precise organism. Every nest is a masterpiece of natural architecture, a laboratory of evolution, a logistics and ventilation system all in one. Nest construction begins with a simple tunnel. Workers dig into the soil, move grains of sand, smooth the surfaces, forming the first chamber. Over time, tunnels branch into labyrinths that extend meters, sometimes even tens of meters underground. Some tunnels are designed so precisely that, in sunlight, chambers remain cool and humidity stays constant. These are natural climate systems. The ants need no electricity or fans, because they know how to direct airflow throughout their underground city. Chambers serve different functions. Some are food storage rooms. Dry honey, seeds, and insect remains kept at precise temperatures to prevent spoilage. Others are nurseries for larvae and pupae. These spaces maintain ideal humidity, and workers ensure the young develop safely. There are also service chambers, rest areas for workers, pheromone collection points, tunnel intersections acting as command hubs, though no single ant commands them. The building materials are as impressive as the design itself. Depending on the species, ant nests are constructed from sand, soil, wood, leaves, and sometimes even resin. The inner walls of the chambers are smoothed, occasionally coated with natural adhesives that prevent the earth from crumbling. In tropical regions, some ants construct entire cities out of leaves, stitching them together with fibers and binding them with secretions from their own bodies to create stable, breathable structures. They are miniature engineers, capable of turning any available material into a durable, functional system. Ventilation is another marvel of their architecture. The main tunnel acts like a chimney. Warm air rises while cool air descends, and pathways intersect in a way that maintains stable temperature and humidity throughout the nest. Some species build external mounds with ventilation openings that act as natural air conditioning systems, with the wind driving airflow throughout the structure. Certain nests resemble true cities. Hundreds of entrances and exits, branching tunnels, storage chambers, meeting areas, and alarm points. In tropical forests, nests can span several square meters, housing hundreds of thousands of ants. Each ant knows its place and duty, and the entire structure functions as a single superorganism. Even if part of the nest is destroyed by water or predators, the rest of the system keeps working. And workers immediately begin rebuilding. One remarkable feature is their ability to form living bridges with their bodies to overcome obstacles while building tunnels or searching for food. Their architecture is not static, it is dynamic, alive, and constantly adapting to the environment. Nests grow, shift, respond to water, wind, and temperature, and every ant is simultaneously a builder, maintainer, and guardian. Nest construction is also a study in spatial planning. Tunnels leading to water sources, storage chambers, nurseries all are laid out with precision that astonishes humans. Observing a nest closely is like marveling at a miniature subway network, but one that functions without humans, blueprints, or plans. Everything arises from instinct, pheromones, and the collective action of hundreds of thousands of tiny bodies. Not all ants live a life confined to digging tunnels and gathering crumbs. Some species have developed strategies so intricate they resemble miniature societies with their own factories and armies. There are the fungus farming ants and the raiders' two worlds. Diametrically different yet equally fascinating. In tropical forests, one can find farming ants, Atta or Acromyrmex. These tiny farmers don't just gather leaves for themselves. They cut leaves into small pieces and carry them underground, where in specialized chambers they cultivate fungus. The fungus doesn't grow by chance. It is meticulously tended, watered, cleaned of debris, and protected from parasites. The fungus becomes the colony's primary food source. Ants know exactly which fungal species are edible and which are harmful, using natural pesticides in the form of enzymes and bacteria to keep their crops healthy. This miniature agriculture predates humans planting crops by millions of years. Equally intriguing are the raider ants, known as social predators. Some species attack other colonies and abduct larvae which once brought back to their own nest, erased by workers as part of the colony. In this way, they incorporate foreign genes while gaining additional labor for defense or work. It is akin to abducting a small group of humans and teaching them new tasks in a different society, yet in the ant world. It is all instinct and chemistry. Both fungus farming and raiding reveal extraordinary evolutionary flexibility. These ants are not mere foragers, they are engineers, strategists, and farmers all at once. Their actions are refined. Fungus must be cultivated under precise humidity and temperature, and captured larvae must be integrated so they do not provoke aggression. This requires precision, organization, and subtle chemical communication mastered to perfection. Some species cultivate fungus so carefully that separating it from the colony causes it to wither immediately. This proves ants do not merely collect food, they create a symbiotic life system in which each party depends on the other. It is cooperation distilled to its purest form. Ants feed the fungus feeds the ants, and the colony thrives. Raider ants, on the other hand, demonstrate tactical aggression. They attack in coordinated groups, plan ambush, use pheromones to sow confusion in the enemy nest, and extract prey larvae or pupae without endangering their own colony. These are small-scale wars, governed by rules, rituals, and consequences. While brutal, they maintain ecological balance. Stronger colonies survive. Weaker ones are absorbed, and genes circulate through the web of life. Like pieces on a complex chessboard, the world of ants is not only about digging tunnels and tending the colony. Every ant, from worker to soldier, is also a forager. Their life is a continuous journey combining cunning, strength, cooperation, and at times true hunting tactics. Diet varies by species and environment. Some ants are gatherers, collecting seeds, leaves, nectar, or insect scraps. Others are hunters, preying on small insects, spiders, and sometimes even larger prey, coordinating in groups to overcome them. Omnivorous species take advantage of anything they encounter, from fallen fruit to the bodies of dead animals. One of the most renowned strategies is cooperative hunting. Some ants track prey in columns, each worker performing a precise role. Some attack and stun. Others prevent escape, and others transport the prey to the nest. This is not random chaos, it is coordination guided by pheromones and instinct. In tropical forests, ants can even subdue larger insects, dismantling them piece by piece. Species like Ada demonstrate remarkable foresight. They do not consume leaves directly. They harvest them to cultivate fungus, which then becomes the colony's food. It is a symbiotic system in which ants invest effort to create a sustainable food source. Every leaf is a building block for a microscopic factory. And every worker is a farmer on a scale humans can only admire. Some species specialize in sugar collection. Sugar ants gather nectar, honeydew from aphids, or secretions from other insects, storing energy for later. Some even farm aphids, protecting them from predators and milking the sweet liquid they produce, a miniature agro-insect economy. Every species develops its own resource strategy, demonstrating astonishing adaptability. Ants are also incredibly strong. Workers can carry food up to 10 times their body weight. During transport, they employ load-sharing strategies, dividing pieces, forming transport columns, and creating queues ensuring the prey reaches the nest safely. This efficiency in food acquisition is a key reason ant colonies are vast and resilient. Predatory ants use ingenious tools. Leaves can serve as platforms to transport water, bark channels to carry insect larvae, even environmental elements to stun prey or shield against predators. Food acquisition is thus not just muscle, it requires cunning, planning, and cooperation. Pheromone trails to food also serve as a communication system. Each worker knows where to go, how fast, and in what number, and every decision to diverge from or reinforce the trail affects the entire colony. This is collective intelligence in its purest form. Through gathering, hunting, farming, and strategy, ants form a cohesive system. Every day, thousands of workers traverse the world seeking food, proving that even the tiniest creatures can create complex, dynamic societies with ingenious survival strategies. The world of ants is full of harmony, cooperation, and perfect organization, but beneath the surface lies another reality: wars that can last months or even years. Ant wars are devoid of human heroism or pride. They are clashes of instinct, strategy, and ruthless competition for space, resources, and the survival of the superorganism. Ant wars often begin with a simple signal: the scent of an intruder. Every colony carries a unique chemical code. A worker encountering the scent of another colony triggers an alarm. No shouts, no sirens, fear and aggression pheromones spread instantly. Within minutes, the entire organism, that is the colony, reacts as one body. First comes reconnaissance. Scouts approach the enemy border, analyze scent, movement, and numbers. Fighting species can assess the opponent's strength. If the enemy is too numerous, they often retreat, reorganize in positions. If the odds are even, the march begins. Some species fight like ancient armies. Formica rufa warrior ants line up in broad waves, creating a moving tide of attacking workers. From afar, it appears as a dark mass sweeping through the forest floor, consuming everything in its path. At the clash, workers strike with jaws like swords. Some bite legs, others flip opponents to expose soft underparts. Species with stingers inject burning toxins. Pain and chaos have strategic meaning in the ant world. Formica also employs chemical weapons, spraying formic acid from their abdomens several centimeters away. For humans, it seems minor. For an ant, it is as if doused in corrosive fire. Some tropical species fight with sheer numbers. Army ants like Izaiton form living waves hundreds of thousands strong. Their battles are brief, brutal, and entirely based on numerical dominance. If the enemy is strong, the army forms defensive rings. If weaker, it is flattened by the wave, pulled inside and torn apart. This is war in its purest form, lacking subtlety yet terrifyingly effective. Some ants do not fight for land, they fight for slaves. Polyurgus rufescens, the Amazon ants, are blind and nearly incapable of independent work. Their colony exists solely for raiding other nests. Their raids resemble commando expeditions. Scouts locate an enemy nest. Then, elite warrior ants strike fast, silent, lethal. They penetrate, seize larvae and pupae, and vanish before the enemy can mount a defense. The captured young, once mature, believe they belong to the Amazon colony. This is a genetic war where workers, not territory, are the prize. Sometimes wars are fought without direct death. Many species settle disputes through displays of strength. Workers face off, push, lift, and topple opponents, but rarely bite. The colony demonstrating greater determination and numbers wins. These strength parades can last for days. Victors claim resources. The defeated retreat. One of the longest known ant wars is still raging. Continuously. It concerns the Argentine ant supercolonies, stretching for thousands of kilometers, fighting over every centimeter of land with local populations. This is a conflict without end fronts advancing mere meters per week. A single battle may last an entire day, but the war stretches over decades. Ants fight because the colony is an organism, defending its integrity just as a human body defends itself against infection. Intruders, even of the same species, are simply foreign scents that must be eliminated. The world of ants may appear orderly, repetitive, predictable. Yet look closer, and something extraordinary emerges. Ants can become tools, bridges, rafts, and rescuers all at once. Their bodies are not mere units, they transform into elements of a greater, living system. One of the most spectacular behaviors is the construction of living bridges. When a colony encounters an obstacle, a gap between leaves, a small stream workers link their bodies into chains, forming a bridge for the others to cross. Some bridges span dozens of individuals, sometimes layered, allowing the entire colony to pass safely. And these bridges are dynamic. Ants adjust their shape and length as needed, returning to normal duties once the obstacle disappears. Equally remarkable are ant rafts. During floods, particularly in tropical regions, Colonies unite into floating structures, carrying the queen and larvae. Each worker grips her neighbor, forming a stable platform capable of surviving strong currents. Ants do not drift aimlessly. They maintain position, direction, and balance, ensuring the survival of the colony. It is a living laboratory of hydrodynamics, where every movement counts. Rescuing the queen is no less impressive. The queen is the heart of the colony. Without her, the nest cannot survive. In moments of danger, whether an attack by a rival colony or a flood, workers form protective rings around her. They carry, shield, and ensure no harm reaches the colony's most precious member. Some workers act as guards, while others scout, clear paths, and monitor threats. Such coordination, in the human world, would require advanced command structures and planning. Some behaviors verge on self-sacrifice. Species like Eceiton or Camponotus, during attacks or colony defense, willingly risk their lives to protect the rest of the colony. In practice, this means forming living barriers, holding enemies at bay, or blocking nest entrances with their bodies. To humans, it is heroism. To ants, it is instinctual survival strategy. Larvae and pupae are not forgotten. When the nest is damaged, workers do not panic. They form chains and columns, carrying the young to safety, executing actions that appear synchronized, as if the colony had a shared brain. Each worker knows her role without receiving orders. The chemical and tactile signals alone suffice for perfect coordination. All these behaviors reveal a single truth. Ants do not act solely as individuals. They do not think in terms of personal comfort or safety. Their bodies are part of a superorganism, responding to the needs of the whole. Bridges, rafts, protective rings, none of it is accidental. It is intelligence in action, instinct, and evolution honed over millions of years. Ants do more than wage wars, build bridges, or rescue their queen. They are invisible architects of nature, constantly shaping the world around us. Their influence is subtle yet fundamental, from soil to tree canopies. From seeds to insects, every ant plays a role in maintaining biological balance. Their most obvious role is aerating the soil. Colonies move hundreds of kilograms of earth annually, creating intricate tunnels and chambers. This is not just habitat preparation. The mounds oxygenate the soil, giving plant roots better access to air and water. Where ants operate, the earth is more fertile, absorbs rain more efficiently, and retains moisture. In tropical regions, studies show ants can accelerate leaf decomposition by tens of %, enriching the soil with nutrients. Ants are also seed dispersers, a process called myrmecochory. Some plants produce seeds with edible treats that ants carry to the nest. There, part of the treat is eaten, but the seed is left in a safe, moist spot ideal for germination. In this way, ants inadvertently create natural gardens, placing seeds in locations favorable for growth and survival. Their role in controlling insect populations is equally vital. Ants are predators and scavengers, feeding on caterpillars, larvae, aphids, and other small arthropods that could destroy crops or wild plants. In the tropics, their presence can determine which insect species dominate an ecosystem and which disappear. Ants act as living regulators, maintaining ecological balance and protecting plants from overgrazing. But their influence extends further. Ant tunnels and mounds create microhabitats for other organisms. Tiny spiders, beetles, and insect larvae find shelter and moisture within the nest. Colonies become biological hubs, supporting numerous species. Whether directly related or not, some species like leafcutter ants even affect the carbon cycle. By transporting plant fragments into their nests, they accelerate decomposition and nutrient cycling, enriching the soil. Their activity has systemic effects, influencing entire forest or field ecosystems. Ants are also key nodes in the food chain. Predators such as birds, lizards, and small mammals rely on ants, and their presence shapes the distribution of other animals. Though small individually, colonies collectively weave a web of dependencies that structure life around them. For millions of years, ants have functioned as living superorganisms. Their structures, strategies, and behaviors captivating biologists, engineers, and agriculturists alike. What appears instinctual becomes a model for human innovation. The first and most famous inspirations come from logistics and route optimization. Colonies find the shortest path to food and transmit that knowledge to other workers using pheromones and simple chemical rules. Scientists have translated these mechanisms into computer algorithms that now optimize delivery routes, transport networks, and even drone delivery systems. These algorithms often outperform traditional methods in complex, dynamic environments. Ants have inspired swarm robotics as well. Robots modeled on their behavior can operate collectively, make decisions as a group, and adapt to terrain changes. In laboratories, they are taught to build bridges, follow the paths of others, and create communication networks mirroring living ant bridges and food transport strategies. Biology becomes technology. Ants demonstrate how simple units generate collective intelligence. In agriculture, ants are invaluable. Their ability to control pest populations and disperse seeds positions them as natural agents supporting sustainable ecosystems. In tropical regions, colonies protect cocoa and coffee trees, reducing the need for chemical pesticides, enhancing soil health, and increasing yields. These are living, miniature ecosystems at agricultural scale. Research extends even further. Understanding chemical signals and how ants convey information allows engineers to design intelligent monitoring systems that detect environmental changes, predict threats, and respond in real time. Ants have no brain as humans know it, yet their colony intelligence serves as a blueprint for technologies capable of protecting crops, planning cities, and guiding robots in challenging conditions. Looking at ants, one sees that nature is the most experienced engineer. Millions of years of evolution have produced solutions humans are only beginning to imitate. From logistics and robotics to environmental protection and sustainable agriculture, ants teach us that even the tiniest creatures can inspire the grandest inventions.